we have a couple
We
things.
have a wonderful show for you guys this week.
Boy, do we ever. And
Once again, layoffs.
yeah, I mean, all kinds of things.
Should we even bother? Yeah, we
You know,
should.
well, more important than all those layoffs, I have personal grievances that happened to me right before we went live.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I have okay.
Personal
Right.
grievances way
I
more
would like
important.
to hear your personal grievance.
Way more important than those layoffs. Pat, today is April 1st.
That's right.
And no, this is not about me getting fooled on April Fool's Day.
No, I'm too old for this.
This is simply me being the fool well before this. Because you might remember a couple of months ago when I reported live here on Castle Super Beast that Tepen was shutting down. And
I remember that, yeah.
And that there was going to be an offline edition made available, and you could transfer all your data over so that you'd be able to preserve it in the offline edition forever afterwards.
Yeah, but you had to have the data, which was like the weird part.
You had to log in between December.
Oh, you dumb asshole.
You had to log in between December and March 31st at midnight.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You had plenty of time.
You
talked about it on the show.
I could have sworn I put a calendar reminder in my fucking phone.
That's crazy.
Dude, and I saw a thing where someone's like, I logged in and didn't get my shit. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I logged in and...
Late.
I'm so vexed because it's like...
Oh, that's gone.
That's gone, right?
That was like a gimme for its death.
Yep. That's it. That's over. That's gone. There goes my shit. And I'm just like... Okay.
Congrats! You now know what it's like to have played a dead MMO.
Yes, I am the fool. I am, but here's the bit though. More than that, I take that. But more than that, I have a renewed burning hatred for this new video games economy and dead things and dead online games and the systems.
Do you mean end of service?
All of it. I fucking hate this, and I do appreciate that here's one that had an end of service that tried to do something that you could, like, you know, keep going after the fact, whereas most of them just hit you with a title screen that goes nowhere forever. But fuck me, this sucks. I hate it so much.
You know what that reminds me of?
Games never used to be like this, man.
So we talked about at length about how the Final Fantasy release schedule is doodah, and that's why the kids aren't into Final Fantasy last week. There was a fantastic article whose author I can't remember, nor can I remember the title. Someone please post it in the chat as I describe it. That basically went into a long rant and series of details.
Kids are poor. Kids are poor. The kids don't have money.
It was the kids are poor. It's like
TLDR.
I have ranted about that in separate threads.
Yeah.
About like how are people supposed to get into video games when they are broke?
I had this discussion many a time about walking into that basement, seeing my nephew and all his friends playing Brawlhalla, getting in there, and basically I'm like, oh, y'all don't play Smash? And they're like, we can't fucking afford Smash. No one has a Switch. What are you talking about? And I was like, oh, shit.
Here's the thing. It's more than the kids are poor. First of all, everybody's poor. The economy has sucked our entire lives. I'm turning 40 this month. The economy has literally never been good once in my entire life. It was good for like 10 minutes after I was born.
It had while you were growing up, it had a semblance of looking like the thing that your parents like moved into. And by the time you graduated,
that ship I was
fucking hit the horizon.
To get allowance,
that ship was gone.
The economy was already in shambles. Like that was fucking bullshit.
But the lag was that you were still getting advice to go put on your suit and walk down to the local shop and shake hands, you know? And
yeah, if I was 3 years old, I bet that would have played, honestly. But more than that, more than the fact that people have little money, is that the avenues for little money are gone. Rentals, gone.
That was huge.
Gone.
That was huge.
Games in general costing fucking nothing, like 30, 40 bucks, gone. Like everyone goes back and points at like that fucking Super Turbo cartridge being $100 or whatever. That was like wildly out of the norm.
So
absolutely trivial cartridge-based piracy, gone.
Eventually that happened later, but that was there. And I was just trying to remember and I forgot, but in Laval there was that one video rental store that actually rented PC games out and didn't give a fuck if you copied them. It was crazy. And like nowhere else would rent PC games for that exact reason, right? But no, but realistically, the ability to rent games was how me and everyone I knew grew up, played and experienced them. Like the whole.
And also, dragging out value out of GameStop and EB Games' poorly worded return policies. You could extract oodles of value.
Okay, so I never played that game of like the return trade-in shit because of my microplay story, right? Ever since I walked into Microplay, gave them a copy of Star Fox, and they handed me $3, I said, fuck this forever.
That wasn't the gimmick. Oh, here was the gimmick. You buy Zone of the Enders 2 full price, right? Cost $92 back in 2005, 2001, whatever, 2004, right? Okay, that's a lot, but that's tax. You then beat it in a weekend because that game's like 40 minutes long. You then return Zone of the Enders 2 for full value in credit.
Right.
Then they disallow that, but now you have $92 in credit. Now you buy a used game 3 days after it comes out, and used games can still be returned for credit within 14 days. Okay. So what do? You fucking beat 26 games in a fucking year is what you do.
Yeah. Again, I know that. So I know Shmup God Pat, and I know Liam used to go hard on all the deals, right? With the keeping up with trades and returns and stuff. I'm thinking of like well before that was established, just like childhood days. It was rentals to experience everything, and then eventually when emulation became something feasible, and we got a computer that could run SNES 9X, and
I think for the year 2002 I played like nothing but Super Nintendo games that I had missed.
It was crazy, right? And like
nothing but.
And so it's like between that and like booting up Neo Rage X and like it took like half an hour to load Samurai Showdown 4 up, but fuck me, it ran, it was like that was pretty instrumental in like going and getting into and experiencing more and more games, to the point where we're like, oh, we know about a bunch about these things now, right? And yeah, that type of childhood admittedly was one where you could play a lot of different games, spending very little and rarely, if ever, buying a full copied thing, And as I got older, like full copies of things started to happen a bit more, but it was like in the Super Nintendo into the N64 days, it was exceedingly rare. We would just rent Star Fox multiple times, get that Rumble Pack, and fucking do it till we beat it,
You'd also run the thing that, I mean, you can still technically do, but it's a little more awkward, which is, hey, you, and you. We're going to buy Resident Evil 4. Okay, I'm going to put up 40% of the price, so I'm going to play it until I beat it, and then I'm going to give it to you, and then you're going to give it to them, and so on and so forth, and you're just going to rotate the one copy throughout. But now physical like the digital storefront wants to destroy that.
And again, there was an era where like Humble Bundle stuff used to drop often, and it'd be like, hey, there's a lot of games that you can get for very cheap, and that's cool. But yeah, that overall place is gone now, and it's not that you can't buy. There's a lot of games you can play now for very cheap, but the mainline franchises, the stuff that of yesteryear that we care about, the big name IPs and all that AAA stuff, is that is still locked in on the $70, $80 price train, and so that's a part of the discussion that was absolutely worth bringing up. That article talked about that we didn't get into last week is just like fucking cost, man.
You know what else that article brought up? I wish I could remember where it was, which was, hey, Final Fantasy games used to come out like one a year. That's crazy. You know what the kids are into now? If they're into RPGs, fucking Honkai Star Rail. A new one of those comes out every 6 fucking weeks. Square will never be able to fucking compete with that shit on the timeline basis.
Yeah,
fucking never.
And that's the same articulated discussion about the Fortnite train that was like, hey, a bunch of people are playing, but you and your friends are all playing Fortnite, and it's dropping content regularly. Every once in a while, something else has to distract you from it temporarily, and then you come back to this because there's going to be new shit in here. You know,
the article also goes into detail of something extraordinarily depressing, which was basically a bunch of Christmas gifts for console games went out only for the kids to be like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. You don't get anything by playing. And what they meant by that was like daily login bonuses, and shit like that. Because the first games they were ever given were free-to-play games on their hand-me-down phones. And this is where we can invert the conversation to, hey, guess what? Bad parents are ruining video games. Parents that go, here you go, Jimmy, you're 5 years old. Here's my old iPhone. Do whatever. Are ruining video games because they're allowing their kids unattended infinite time on a smartphone with fucking slot machine games.
I mean, to be fair, those parents are also getting their credit cards blown up when they don't seal off the card, and then they end up getting a bunch of microtransactions that they didn't protect against by leaving the card plugged into the game. But
that's insane.
But regardless,
that's insane.
But regardless, I think I mean, sure, that's a part of it, but realistically, it's just like every game, every one of these companies realizing that you could like pick at the exact spot in the brain to activate the FOMO sensors that we've gotten used to and desensitized to is all created this horseshit environment we live in. So, it's no surprise that like, even if you were releasing games that were like long, good, whatever, all that shit, and they were somehow affordable, it's like, yeah, but if they don't have the dailies, and if they're not an ongoing not even live service, but just a like, if there's a reason to check back once per month, if you're not keeping up with that sort of schedule, then who cares, right? I mean,